Welcome to our presentation about a game called Witch Hunter, available on all major leading platforms. Designer's intent. Our intent is to immerse the player in a setting of a fictionalized town taking place during the height of the witch hunt hysteria of the late 1600s. In many small towns during this time, people were wary of any activities that may have seemed questionable. To add to the suspicion element, we included a mechanic that immersed the player in a 1600s church and court setting, recalling choices made previously during gameplay. This would either raise suspicion or retain loyalty within the church and court. During the 1600s, there was no separation of church and state, and we felt it necessary in our intent to keep within the principles of those times. Our game inspirations came from Werewolf and Mafia, Chrono Trigger, Bloodborne, Red Dead Redemption, and Until Dawn. The demographic of this game would be a one-player game rated T for teen. The storyline of our game revolves around Sebastian, a lone witch hunter. Sebastian has roamed from city to city, hunting down and exiling evil witches. The basic gameplay follows Sebastian along his journey, where players will be able to interact with local townspeople to gather information and hunt down this evil witch. The game will consist of 10 unique levels that play out like 10 days and nights. Sebastian, the player, will be armed with a medium 17th century crossbow and an abundance of silver armor-piercing crossbow bolts he can use as a range attack. He'll also be equipped with a 9-inch Bowie hunting knife that will be used as a melee weapon to attack wild animals, hostile people, and the evil witch. There will also be NPCs, characters that he will be able to build relationships with, such as the church and the accused townspeople. Some examples of our gameplay will be during one night, the player will choose one of the accused NPCs to take along on a night hunt for the witch. During this night hunt, they will be giving choices. Depending on these choices, one of the accused will either become more suspicious in the eyes of the church, and one will become less suspicious. During court, they will be shown flashbacks of events from the previous chapter and have to remember the choices they made. If they choose right, then the NPC accusing the player of witchcraft is found more guilty of witchcraft. However, if chosen wrong, the church grows suspicious of the player. Mechanics. Obfuscate, translate. The entire premise of this game is to discover and uncover the whereabouts of an evil witch. This is done through a series of quests the player is sent on by the church. Command. Players will have the ability to command the accused NPCs into helping them or doing small jobs for them. Memorize, recall. During the court portion of the game's chapter, the player will be shown snippets of choices they have made during the previous chapter. They must remember the choice they made and recall it to the church in order to retain their good standings with the church and court. Translate. This is basic player movement. Players will control Sebastian the Witch Hunter by moving him left, right, forward, and backward. He will be capable of running, jumping, walking, and crouching. His actions will be performed using a game controller or computer's keyboard. Betting wager. When a player is standing before the court, the NPCs can bet against the player to rub their suspicion off on the player. The player then has to recall memories from the night before. If they fail, suspicion befalls them, and the church court begins to grow suspicious of the player. If they are successful, then the NPC gains more suspicion in the eyes of the church and court. Create. As a newcomer, the player must create relationships with the townspeople, the church, and the courts in order to catch the witch and bring her to justice. Storyboards. Obfuscate, translate. The storyboard shows the player accepting quests from the church, going on quests, and from these quests, finding out which NPC is the witch. Command. The storyboard shows the player commanding 2 NPCs to take on a quest, going on said quest, and completing the quest. Memorize, recall. The storyboard shows the player in church, recalling the prior chapters, events, and being successful. Translate. The storyboard shows the player moving right, moving up, then moving right again. Betting and wage. This storyboard depicts the player in court, being accused of witchcraft by an NPC, and that NPC losing their bet. Create. The storyboard depicts that player talking to an NPC, gaining relationship points, talking to another NPC, but not having enough relationship points to command the NPC. Mock images. Red Dead Church. Here we see a simple church, much like churches were back in the 1600s. The church in our game would look similar to this church. Red Dead Wolves. When battling wildlife such as wolves in Witch Hunter, they would look like realistic wolves, such as you see here. Bloodborne. Our game would have a darker tone to it. Unlike the previous examples, Witch Hunter would seem ominous, with lighting given by lampposts, and the days would be overcast. There is a witch in town, so we want to give the feeling of a dark presence. Competitors. The Order, 1886. The Witcher franchise, and Alan Wake. What makes our game unique, you might ask? Our game is unique because it highlights the hysteria of the Salem witch hunts in a fun and immersive experience for the player. It's investigative, dark, and beautiful to tell a tale that holds true to the 1600s. We'd like to take this time to thank you for watching our presentation and hope you have a wonderful day.